Cocabana. Welcome today on Chef Caulk. My favorite, all-time favorite, definitely my favorite. If it's not your favorite, you're wrong. This is not an opinion, it is a fact. This is my favorite, and it is your favorite. Grilled cheese with tomato soup. Simple, but the best. Grilled cheese. Today, our ingredients are butter, knife for the butter, egg, my favorite print cutting board, of course, to help us sauce up the egg with the butter, tomato soup, because it's necessary. It's also one of the 2 dishes I'm making today. And then, saltines for the tomato, grattado soup, some cheese, some more cheese, and some Swiss cheese. That is all. Thank you for coming to ingredients. Okay. Now the first thing I like to do is get the tomato soup cooking. So, I need a spoon actually for this. This is called a spur. Now that we got our spoon, move over to the burner. Pop this bad boy open. Tomato. Usually I let it sit there for a little bit, so that way it comes out. Oh shoot, that was a little floppy. And then if you want to, see how there's a little extra? You can, oh shoot. You can scoop some of that out, get it in. Okay, it's probably enough, but that's not all. I like to add milk. Now, it's very important to get the portions here right. Usually, 1 can of milk. Oh shoot. Boom. Tomato soup. Just stir it, cook it, and we're good. So let's do that. You already know what's happening. Nice. And then, oh shoot. You gotta stir it up so that way it's not too chunky, and that it gets, breaks up the tomato soup correctly. I like to do a little spinning here. You see how it's breaking up those chunks? We like a slim boy, not a chunky boy. And that's probably decent. I don't feel any more chunks really, except these little pieces, which are fine. The heat will deal with them. Now we'll just let that sit for a while. Now my favorite part. Grilled cheesed. Now, contrary to popular belief, why is this in 2 bags? Okay, let me show you the correct way. Now, first, 2 slices of bread. One for the bottom, one for the top, obviously. Easy there. But, if you have 2 slices of cheese, now this is very important, like extraordinarily important. You only have 2 slices of cheese. 1 for the bread and 1 for the bread. Let me show you how to do this correctly. Okay, now most people take their first slice and we'll just slap this down. Right? Like in the corner, so that's good. Because it lines up, it looks nice. And then the second one, now this is wrong. That is 100% wrong. See? Oh, shoot. Okay, so this is first. See how you have this L? That was what we call the loss area in the grilled cheese terminology. Most people will slap their second piece of cheese either here, which makes us lowercase l for still loss but less loss. Or they put it here in the opposite corner so you get 2 tiny L's for minimalist loss but still loss. Now some people believe it will melt over to, that's wrong. It doesn't work that way. This is the correct way. First slice here. Second slice, measure it up. This is very important. Slice. Boom. So now you see we have the long L, which still gives us loss, but look, we have this. So what you do is then you cut this in half, slap it there, slap this here, and then put the remaining cheese wherever you want. In my case, where there's still a little bit of bread, boom. Lossless grilled cheese. This is the correct way, no other way. And then you butter the bread and stuff. As you can see, we are lossless. Now, I'm gonna put on the final finishing touch of cheese. We are ready. Next step, butter the bread, or the egg. So take your butter, smear it on egg. Boom, you got one side down. Now since we already have cheese on this piece of egg, on the grille cheese, we have to be very careful and do this ancient technique called flip it. And then butter the rest of the bread. Okay, now that it's nice and buttered, the Parmesan. So here's our grill. His name is George. Last name Friedman. Okay. Okay, this is called shredded. So you're gonna kind of get the outside of it. You kind of want to smear it so that way it's nice and even. Okay, so next you want to place a little here to get the bottom side of the bread. Spread it a little where you think the bread's gonna be. Plug this bad boy in. Now he's on. Take your grilled cheese, slap it on there. Now we're all good. Now George is on. So we just kind of wait. Soup should be almost done by now. So open the George. And boom, this grilled cheese is looking like a snack. First one is done. Let's put that on the cutting board. Get the second one on. Get them ready to cook. All right, well, that's hot. Let me get that all the way. Now that our grilled cheese is done. Because of George. There's a very precise, correct, important, measurable way to cut a grilled cheese. Take your knife. This is very important. If you mess this up, you could accidentally split an atom and have another Nagasaki on your hands. Diagonal to diagonal. 0 errors. It must be 100% correct. As you can see. Ah, crap. Chef Caulk. Shoot. Okay. This George Foreman's George Friedman is popping off. Okay, let's check up on the soup. As you can see, it's orange because it's tomato. It's steaming-ish. It's not quite boiling yet, but that's okay. It's probably pretty hot, I would say. And it's probably pretty done. That's why I turned it down to only 1/10 of nice, 0.69. So that way it just kind of simmer while we wait for the grilled cheese, which is good because now we can plate it. Where's the plates? Plate time. That's for the soup. Now there's also a very specific way to plate the grilled cheese that if you do it wrong, it's bad. So basically, it's like you would plate a normal grilled cheese in the center of your plate, except you spread it out. Most people get this wrong. So now, if you watch very closely, if you did this 100% correctly, you could fit, as you can see, it fits a bowl in the middle for your soup. Where my saltines go? And then you can have saltines in between. It's very highly efficient. That's why they call it, Okay, anyway. And then, if you're feeling particularly fancy, you can caramelize. As you can see, it becomes black, like caramel. And if you really want to be fancy, do it to the cheese. And it will just become melted cheese, aka caramelized cheese. This is also a faster way to cook because it's more precise. Soup is done, fellas. So what we're gonna do is turn off the stovetop, give it one last stir. We got a ladle here. See how it's caramelized on top? That's good, usually. Let's take it over, get the plating. Now, let's get the first. It's like giving out rations during World War II.
Do you have experience with that, Chef Caulk?
Yes, I do. Let me tell you, this is about 10 times as much as they used to give us. Because back in the day, people were a foot shorter. So their intestines were also like 10 feet shorter. Because it's a 10-to-1 ratio. Would you like to join me for dinner? Bon appetit.